Someone calling himself the Simple Skeptic has joined us in the chat. Welcome, 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 dear skeptic.
Thank you for welcoming me. I wish I could say that I was honored, but unfortunately, when I have to face people who are pouring out unscientific drivel, like creationism, and refusing to back it up with any evidence, just attacking evolution, I really can't feel honored at all. It takes me away from more important things like whiskey tasting and building model aircraft and doing some nature photography. But unfortunately, this is the job I've chosen. Hello everybody and welcome back to The Simple Skeptic. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Hit that little bell that pops up and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. And hit the like or unlike button. A like would be preferred. Philip Stott watched my reply to him and he's replied to me. And it doesn't get any better. He's still spouting the old theory that, well, not even a theory. The old debunked creationist trope of the second law of thermodynamics making evolution impossible. He doesn't seem to understand that I accept the second law of thermodynamics. Anybody working in the field of evolution accepts the second law of thermodynamics. No sane scientist tries to go against the second law of thermodynamics. All we are saying is that when I say we, I'm not really including myself as a scientist. I'm just a blue-collar guy, but, you know, we who care about facts. We are simply saying that even though the second law of thermodynamics applies to the universe, it can be defied, and evolution does that. Let's take a look at what he says.
And for those who haven't watched his latest contribution, let's see what he said about one of the very early videos.
Buckle up, because you might fall out of your chair when you find out exactly where he goes. One of the oldest creationist arguments in the book, one that's been debunked 1,000 times or more, and he goes there.
The first and most basic disproof is the fact that it contradicts the most fundamental law in science.
Stand by. Here we go.
The second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, he went there. Something that's been debunked no end of times. And he should know it. In fact, he probably does know it. But like most creationists, he's disingenuous and he's willing to lie for Jesus.
Well, I think most of us have heard this story many times. As we've seen before, the second law states that disorder, with the fancy name entropy, increases but never decreases. Now, that's like all natural laws. It's true for things which just happen in nature.
And I fully granted that. From 4 minutes 10 seconds of my video to 4 minutes 58 seconds of my video, I explained what I meant by evolution standing in defiance of the second law of thermodynamics. At 5 minutes 27 seconds in the video, I again stated that the second law of thermodynamics applies to the universe. It says nothing about evolution.
An intelligent being can interfere and create order, like arranging beads on a string to make a pattern. But beads don't make such a pattern all by themselves.
And nobody ever claimed that they can. But your statement is trying to lead the listener into thinking that there's some sort of intelligence involved. If you were a lawyer in a courtroom, I can hear the word objection being shouted out.
The simplest living organism is packed full of astoundingly complex information. That information is coded in patterns of molecules along strings of DNA. And all that information is essential for that organism to work properly. And only intelligence can produce information.
The logical fallacy of the argument from incredulity. I just can't imagine how it can come together naturally. So there must be a God.
So the second law of thermodynamics wipes the theory of evolution off the face of the earth.
How many times are you going to make a declarative statement like that without backing it up? You've been shown, in fact you probably know, that the second law of thermodynamics does not wipe evolution off the map. It's been explained to you. If a simple high school graduate like me can understand that the second law of thermodynamics, yes, applies to the universe, but there can be little backwaters, little eddies. There can be areas where energy is incoming and helping evolution along. How many times do we have to explain this to creationists?
But of course, that is too much for atheists to swallow. Because the whole worldview is based on evolution.
Garbage. There is no atheistic worldview. Atheism is not a worldview. It is simply a position statement on the idea of God or gods. Second, it is not dependent upon evolution. Evolution is not dependent on atheism,
which specifically denies any input from intelligence.
More garbage. It doesn't deny any input from intelligence at all. It simply says that we see no evidence for it. That's all. If you've got some, provide it. But you never will, because all you can ever do is attack evolution. You will never provide any evidence for creation, for intelligent design, or any intelligent input whatsoever. I've had all I can take for one night, and we're only about halfway through the video. Look, Mr. Stott, you are insulting everyone who works in the field of environmental studies, evolution, biology, all the related fields. You're insulting them all because you're telling them that they are too stupid to understand that the second law of thermodynamics destroys evolution. Or you're calling them all liars. I've never seen such a cavalier attitude. Well, I have, from other creationists. You'll never see it from a real scientist. And I'm sorry, Dr. Stott. I don't want to hear about your qualifications. I don't want to hear about your credentials. I don't want to hear about your history. You are no longer a scientist because you are not doing science when you're doing creationism. You're just not doing it. And science is something you do. If you're not doing it, you're not a scientist. Millions of years ago, a little Australopithecine in Africa was squatting on its haunches, trying to figure out the best way to sharpen a stick. It was doing science. It was using the scientific method. It was observing, noting, remembering, working away. It was doing more and better science than you are right now. I've got whiskey to try. I've got some model aircraft to build. And hopefully tomorrow I'll get out and do some more nature photography. But I've had it for now. Those of you who think that maybe I'm quitting and not wanting to face up to the rest of the video, I'm going to put a link to the rest of his entire video, his reply to me, down below. And you can take a look at it, you can watch it, and see if he actually honestly answered my questions or not. But as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't, because he doesn't want to. His mind is totally wrapped up in fundamentalist dogma. God did it. God said it. I believe it. That settles it. Sorry. That isn't science. And it certainly doesn't overturn evolution. Now let's have a little chuckle at a stupid statement from a creationist. I'm going to be inserting something like this at the end of every video. You can have a look at it. Just smile, chuckle, do whatever you want to do. And have a nice day.